that we walk, the trajectory that we are on, happens one decision at a time. Like every decision that we make puts us somewhere. It puts us geographically somewhere. And, like I get up and I don't have any coffee and I go out for coffee. That puts me somewhere. And the moment that that decision is made has me on the street with all the people that are around me then, instead of 5 minutes earlier or 10 minutes later or at the afternoon. And so and it puts me in the neutrino field of all the people who are there now. And it has me seeing what's happening then that may spark something in my consciousness that opens it up and has me thinking about this or has me thinking about that or reminds me of something that I haven't thought about in a long time. And what is a major component of this is these love gates in the G center, and the other one are direction gates. There's 8 gates in the G, and 4 of them are about direction, and 4 of them are about this universal love. And it's somewhat comforting to me when I really go, oh, this whole world actually is love, because it's so easy to look at it and to see what's fucked up. People not treating other people well, or countries doing this, or politicians doing that, or religion doing, that's probably one of the worst things out there as far as I can tell. A breeding ground for hatred. And yet, what we live in is a field of universal love. And it's everywhere. The love of the body, the love of humans, the love of life itself, the love of everything that there is. That's the field that we live in. And can I change my perspective to remember that more often? Like, how often can I remember that? And when I do remember, can it actually remind me to love my body more? Because that's probably the one it's defined in me. And yet it's been hard for me. I've judged my body more harshly than anything else. It's like, why doesn't it look like this? And why is it so hard to make it look like that? And if it looked like that, everything would be better. I have a friend who lives in Sedona, and she's beautiful. She's a beautiful woman to look at, and she's kind, and she's super intelligent, and she's funny, and she's all the things that I in my life have thought, if I were that, everything would be better, because she's all those things that I think everyone is supposed to be lovable. On top of that, she has the other side of almost all of the love gates. So everybody loves her. They probably think they love her because she's beautiful and smart and funny and kind, right? And she's got this gorgeous figure on top of everything else, like perfect body. And everyone loves her because she activates all their love gates. Now, here's the thing. She has gone through periods in her life where she is so full of fear, she can't leave her house. She's not any happier than I am. She's not any richer than I am. Being loved by people hasn't made her life easier than my life is, for example. And so I just have to stop. I just have to stop and go, it's not about what my mind thinks it's about. It's not about if I didn't have this little thing on my chin anymore, and if I lost 5 pounds, and if my complexion was better. And, it's not about that. It's about me being who I am. And how can I be that better? Not better, because that sounds like ego stuff. It's not that I have to be any better. But how can I relax more into being this thing that I am? And how can I see my body as an opportunity to be alive rather than a thing that I have to make better so other people will love it more. So I'll get something that I don't have or prove something that I need to prove. And I'm going to practice. Okay, this is homework. I actually love homework. Homework is seeing how often we can remember that we live in a field of love. You know, how often can I catch myself judging my body when I look in the mirror or when I put on some jeans and they're super tight? Oh, but I live in a field of love. Can that change my perspective at all? Just even to remember that universal love is actually the field we live in. All the monopoles put together, that's what they bring. They bring love going in a direction. And that's all that this really is. I actually have a very, very impersonal way of seeing life at this point. I said a little while ago, I think that life made me, so I belong to life. And I think that life's intention is to see what if. What if there's a tiara? What will happen? What if there's a Hanale, a Lacey, an Amanda, a Manon, a Diaz, an Alistair? What if? What if there's this, and it's this this design? What happens? What happens when there's this? And what happens if there's a tiara that learns to live as tiara, as opposed to a tiara that's always trying to be something else that her mind tells her she should be? What happens? That's what I think life is. I think it's the biggest experiment of all, and we are the experiment. And how can I surrender in my life to living in a field of love that's going somewhere? And can that help me love myself more? Because if there could be anything that could be better in this world, it would be that we all love ourselves. And wouldn't that be nice for your baby to see you loving yourself as much as you can, Manon? And your clients seeing you loving yourself as much as you love everything, Amanda. And Hanale, you loving yourself as much as you love all those bodies that you're teaching. You know, it's like, yeah. So let's see. Let's see if we can remember that we live in a field of love and how that might shift our consciousness, our awareness of who we are. Diaz, did you want to say something?
Yeah, what you were sharing brought up two things for me. The first is, this idea, and I don't know if it's connected to the gates that we have. But I think it is. And it's like, for example, I've come across people who engage with my aura or like, activate something within me, and their feedback of it is like I feel like you're giving me permission to be myself, right? And it's like, I'm not saying shit. Like, I'm not saying anything, but maybe it's like the way I do love myself, or the way that like their chart and my chart are interacting. They feel all of a sudden like this permission of self-expression, or a permission to like step into compassion, for example. Right. So that was one thing that came up. And then the other is like all of the gates we talked about today that I do have, except for the 15, I feel like they certainly facilitate my being a Buddhist. Right? And it's like, are people who have the impersonal love gates more drawn to certain like thoughts or to certain like, I mean, people consider Buddhism a religion. I consider it a way of being in the world. But are we more drawn to that because it naturally aligns with those gates of love that we have? Um, and that's, I mean, no one can answer that question, but it just popped up, so I thought I'd share.
Yeah,
That's it.
thank you. You know, as we go through these love gates, and it'll get juicier when we get to the personal stuff. I've been aware for myself that some of the love doesn't even make sense to me. Like, how can you think that's love? And especially the ones I have, I don't even understand. Like, how can that be love? And I think I have 4 love gates, and 2 of them are impersonal. So I have an equal amount, and those are easier. There's never any problem with loving bodies and loving humanity for me. Or if it were the 25 of loving everything, there's not a problem with that. Nobody wants you to stop. Nobody wants, I mean, I guess if someone wanted me to be different with them, but I actually have not had that experience. So it's kind of a relief in a way to step out of the personal love gates, which can be so fraught, because love doesn't last in the way that feels the best generally. That love that feels really personally good, it doesn't stay there forever, but the impersonal ones are there forever. Like, I'm gonna see my ex-husband for the first time in a few years at my daughter's wedding later on this year, and I don't have any problem loving him from that impersonal place. It's just easy. It's easy to love from that impersonal place. It's the other stuff that actually is fraught, because we want something from it. We want someone else to provide something because of it. I'm wondering, Amanda, since you're a vessel of love, and that's what we've been looking at, and it's tricky and open center, with all those lovey things in there. Do people project that you love them? Do you get people confused by your lovingness?
It used to happen a lot more when I was younger, and I've adapted to, I don't know, it's a strong stance, and I'm like withholding some of that energy, but I think it still comes through. Like, I asked my upstairs neighbor if I could use his Wi-Fi, and he's been texting me every day, just things about himself, and I'm like, okay.
She loves me.
I'm like, I'm just nice. Like, I'm just loving you as a human.
Right.
But I think it gets confusing when I present with that and then I love someone's body and they're like, okay, cool. I love you too. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, do I really like you? I really like looking at your body.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can lead to, I mean, it's terrific for you to learn about this, because you can, at the beginning, be very aware of the impersonal nature of your lovingness. Your upstairs neighbor, and you love that he's human, and you ask him for a favor, and maybe you love something about his body. But then when the personal thing comes back at you, that can catch you unaware as well. Well, maybe there is something there. Do I not? Wait, what?
Mm-hmm. Then my
Especially
question,
as a projector, because you're looking more at the other than yourself, and suddenly you can get caught up in what they're projecting on you.
it's very confusing.
Huh?
It's very confusing.
It's
It can
very
be.
confusing. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, the 2-4 lives in a projection field. So whatever people see you doing, they think they know something about you.
What I am? Oh, right. 2-4.
2-4.
I don't know what that means yet, but
That's okay. Basically, there's 2 projection fields in human design. There's the 2 and the 5, and they're kind of hold a polarity of what projection is. The projection on the 2 is they see you doing something, and they think, okay, I know all about you now because you did this. An example of this, I have one of my dearest friends is a 2-4, and one day I was over at her house and she brought out these things that were like traditional costumes of Romania that she had been given by her grandmother. And she was smiling and really happy and showing me this and that and the other thing. And I decided that what I knew about Lily was that she liked traditional things. Okay. It seemed very obvious because she was really happy about this traditional costume she was showing me. So a couple of years later, I was somewhere and I took all of these pictures of traditional costumes. I think it was in Cuenca, Ecuador, because they have all this stuff there. And I said, I know you like all this stuff, Lily, so I want to send you these pictures. She goes, that doesn't mean anything to me at all. I was like, but you, and I went, and I caught it because I know this stuff. I went, oh, I projected a whole trip on her because of one little incident where she showed me something and I thought I knew all about her now.
That happens a lot with the label of being a hippie.
Yeah.
People just
Yeah.
fully, but I'm not just that.
Yeah.
With that.
Exactly. Or you could love your dog and they think you love all dogs. Now you probably do love all dogs, but you might not love all dogs. You just love your dog. And suddenly someone is sending you dog pictures every day or something. So what happens with the 2 is that they then want to hide because there's all these things coming at them that have nothing to do with who they are. And the 2 must be called forth to really have energy for something. So as a projector, Amanda, you need that invitation, but as a second line, you also need to feel called to something. And when you feel called for something, it's a whole new world. And until you're called, you're not. Anyone else want to say anything? Are there any other anythings here?
I wanted to just mention, are we done with the teaching section? Shall we stop the recording and have the chat? Yeah, and
okay.
People can stay if they want. And just want to say before you end the recording that, you know, like, I think it was quite nice what you talked about love in the end there. You know, it was really nice, and it got me thinking how direction is love. Yeah. And love is direction. It's just the same thing to me, you know.
The same thing.
Yeah. So just want to end with that, and thank you for watching.